What's good? It's your boy Fanon. So, okay, man. Gonna talk about Eddie Hearn's big announcement that is just gonna have a bunch of promoters in the United States feeling horrible about themselves and in fear of going out of business because Eddie Hearn is taking over boxing in the United States. That's what the announcement's gonna be, right? At least that's what some UK channels have been pushing. Now, there's an article that came out from Ring Magazine that broke down what the majority of this article of this announcement is supposed to be. And it essentially is this: that if you want to watch matchroom boxing fights in the United States, other than the ones that are currently with HBO or showing on pay-per-view, that you're going to have to pay an extra $20 a month to get DAZN, an application, an international sports streaming application that just contracted last year to show the NFL in Canada. So, for a price of about $20 a month, that's what you can see Eddie Hearn's fights. How in the world is that bad for any promoter? Price gouging and coming up with another network to watch boxing on in the United States, as if we don't already have HBO, Showtime, ESPN, Fox, CBS, NBC, as if we don't already have a bunch of competing networks that keep boxing major fights from happening because the fighters are fighting on different networks. That is the attraction. That is the big news according to Ring Magazine. So, first of all, before I get into that, and what that means for boxing, and honestly, man, I was really hoping that the push towards getting boxing back onto free TV, started a few years ago when the PBC pushed off and trying to build it that way, could be successful. But now we just see that, it's just that these promoters just keep trying to find a way to isolate boxing from the masses. And I don't particularly have any issue. This isn't about Eddie Hearn necessarily, but any of this nonsense where you got to continually have more and more things to pay for. ESPN currently, right now as I speak, and just so you know, I have a nonprofit. Every bit of the boxing that I watch, that's tax deductible for me. So it's not going to hit me that if this app comes out and I pay $20 to see Lee Selby fight, and I don't have to do a stream. But for most boxing fans, who don't do that, it's just another bill to pay. That's what Eddie Hearn is introducing. He's introducing another bill to pay. You got to have. Now is HBO, there's Showtime, there's ESPN, and there's now DAZN. That's 4 different networks with 4 different fees that you have to pay for to see boxing matches, and that's not even including pay-per-view. $20 for HBO, $20 for Showtime, $20 for DAZN, $5 for ESPN. That's $65 a month in fees that you have to pay to just to keep up with the sport of boxing. $600 over $700, over $700 a year just to be able to watch boxing. And that is the great announcement that Eddie Hearn is going to make in his attempt to take over American boxing. And how does he intend to find attractions for this new streaming platform that will cost you, the fight fan, an extra $20? By going after PBC fighters who you can currently see in championship level fights on Showtime. How is that good for American boxing at all? I could see how it would be good for DAZN, because DAZN is trying to get as much sports content as they possibly can get. That's what they want to do. Boxing, dart, snooker, football, basketball, whatever. They stream. They want to be DAZN is the Netflix of sports, right? The Netflix of sports. But unless they're going to be able to unless I'm going to be able to get rid of my Showtime subscription and my HBO subscription and my ESPN subscription, I don't see how that's good news for me. The best news that it is for me is that, hey, okay, if they're going to, are they going to show Box Nation and Sky Sports? Are Frank Warren's fighters going to be on there? Am I going to be able to see Billy Joe Saunders and Tyson Fury? Am I going to be able to see Tite on there? Am I going to be able to see the World Boxing Super Series? Am I going to be able to see, are we going to be able to see Ringstar Sports? Am I be able to see Money Pal? Am I going to be able to see Money Pal the fourth fight on this? I can't find him. I can't. What else am I going to get to see? There's no benefit to this for American fight fans. It's just another bill to pay for less competitive fights. Because if he's able, we already got Big Baby Miller fighting Duhaupas and Danny Jacobs fighting Selecki, and we can't get Charlo versus. How's that gonna work? We already have a bunch of reasons that people can't see big fights because people are fighting for different networks. And the solution, the game changer, is going to be to add another network. That's bad news for boxing fans. Bad news. Now, will it enable him to sign more fighters because of the licensing fees that could come from DAZN? Yeah, that's one more person, that's one more entity that's willing to invest money in boxing. So that works for one side of the equation. One side of the boxing equation. And the middlemen. The boxer, maybe some B-level fighters, because I have a hard time believing that they're going to get the top level American fighters to fight on DAZN. How is that going to benefit us? That might help. But anyway, even if it does, how does that help us to have to pay an extra let me see, what percentage increase is that per month? I go from now spending 45 to 65, right? I go from $45 a month to spend on just every month, whether they have a fight or not. Whether I have a fight or not, I'm paying $45 a month. Now I got to pay $65. How's that good for me? That's not good for the fight fan. That's just gouging the fight fan. It's just gouging the fight fan. But it's good for the content provider because they have more fights, more sporting events to put in their application. So if somebody, a football fan, wants to watch a boxing match occasionally, if they're bored, they can jump in there. But for real boxing fans, no. Now, DAZN might be good for, my understanding is the experience for people with DAZN in Canada was good because they're able to see fights. They'll be able to see like football games. I think it replaced whatever the NFL ticket was. So you're able to see American football in Canada, and it was significantly lower. It actually reduced the price for Canadian citizens to watch football, right? But I think there was like a 30-second delay, 15 but depending on the device, between a 15 and 30-second delay for the stream. But that cuts their cost. That cuts their cost for football. And that's cool. If DAZN had an NBA package where they were going to show every NBA game and it sliced the price that I had to pay for NBA ticket for the NBA, what is it? I think it's the NBA ticket. If it sliced that in half, hey, I'm all for it. But the way that I understand this situation It's not going to. It's going to significantly increase how much money I have to pay to keep up with boxing matches. Because I like watching boxing matches. I watch UK boxing matches. I watch Philippine boxing matches in the Philippines. Any boxing match that I can watch if I have time, I'll sit down, watch it, and enjoy it. But I don't see how in any way, shape, or form that this is some benefit. When the PBC started and they started trying to push a situation where you had fights being shown on a regular basis on basic cable, right? Basic cable, ESPN is basic cable in the United States. If you have cable, if you have a program, ESPN comes with it. CBS comes with it. That's basic cable. We're still paying for it, but it's basic cable. NBC, basic cable. Fox, basic cable. Showtime costs extra money. HBO costs extra money. ESPN Plus app now costs money. And the killer with the ESPN app is that these were fights that if there wasn't the app, I would have got to see anyway. So it's not like the app is something beneficial to me. These are fights that they were already going to show. They just charged me to see the app and called it plus. They might as well just call the plus sign, I'm charging you more money, and cutting your access off to ESPN from ESPN Watch. But come on, man, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's just a movement like most promoters do. Their job is to get as much money. Their job is to get as much money out of the pockets of boxing fans as possible. Which is why I would laugh when Eddie Hearn said something like, Hearn said in his interview about the $50 million offer. Right? Like, yeah, they could get this money, but what kind of event are they going to throw? Are they going to throw an event where I'm going to have to pay, where there's ringside seats are $100,000? As if he cares about how much money, like that's a bad thing to him. If Eddie Hearn could charge $100,000 for a front row seat, he would absolutely positively tell people that, hey, look how popular this fighter is. We've got celebrities paying $150,000 a seat just to see Dillian White fight. That's what he'd do. At least that's my belief of what he would do. That's what most promoters would do. They don't turn down anything but their collar, their button-down collar. I don't get the button-down collar stuff, man. Maybe that's British. I thought that went out a long time ago. I used to wear button-down collars when I was like, back in 80, I guess that was the mid-90s, but I digress. Let me go through this article real quick just so that you know it's true and real. I'm too old to say trill, so I will say that it's true and real. The Ring magazine, Eddie Hearn set to announce major U.S. streaming partnership with DAZN. Eddie Hearn is throwing his hat into the U.S. streaming arms race. The British promoter's American initiative, Matchroom Boxing USA, is set to announce on Thursday in New York a major streaming partnership with the fledgling service DAZN. Multiple sources with knowledge of the deal told The Ring. It's a 4-year deal with a 4-year option, and the plan calls for Matchroom to stream 40 fights per year. 16 of those will be staged in the U.S. and the other 24 taking place in UK, where Hearn resides as the most prominent promoter in the marketplace. Each fight card Matchroom Boxing U.S. streams is expected to carry a 7-figure licensing fee. So that is roughly a $40 million deal per year. If 7 figures means $1 million, that might be more. Which will ostensibly allow DAZN to compete with HBO, Showtime, and ESPN as a fourth major player in the American boxing landscape. Hearn didn't return a text seeking comment from The Ring. It was announced earlier Tuesday that former ESPN president John Skipper accepted a position with Deform Group as the sports media company's executive chairman. Perform Group owns DAZN and is also the longtime longtime publication Sporting News, which is now digital only. DAZN has been referred to as the Netflix of sports, and just last year it expanded into Canada, boasting exclusive NFL streaming rights. Skipper's appointment indicates they plan to enter the U.S. market and begin gobbling up TV rights stateside. Most major American sports leagues are already aligned with the network. That's where boxing comes in. Hearn stable, headlined by Anthony Joshua, could be DAZN's first key acquisition. Though Joshua is unlikely to appear on the platform, the heavyweight champion in boxing's rakes in piles of money as pay-per-view attraction in the UK. The large licensing fees Hearn will be armed with should help him sign American fighters to compete on DAZN. Hearn signed Danny Jacobs last year to spearhead Matchroom Boxing USA, but the middleweight contender is currently aligned with HBO. DAZN also figures to finally allow U.S. fight fans to watch Matchroom fights that are televised on Sky Sports in the UK. Hearn has since staged 2 fights under the Matchroom Boxing USA banner, both headlined by Jacobs in New York and each featuring heavyweight contender Jarrell Big Baby Miller on the televised undercard. Jacob outpointed Solecki on April 28th. There's a slew of Al Haymon managed fighters who are promotional free agents, and the British promoter has his eye on many of them, according to sources, with fighters like Jermell Charlo, Keith Thurman, and Sean Porter amongst the targets. The development comes on the heel of the direct-to-customer app ESPN Plus, which offers top-ranked stable fighters in live fights for $4.99 a month. Yeah. DAZN usually costs about $20 a month, but it's unclear at this time what the price point will be when it debuts stateside. For now, one thing is clear. Hearn is ready to flex his muscles in the United States. Okay, like I said, how is that good for boxing? How's that good for a boxing fan? I can see why it would be good. As I said, I can see why it would be good for it'd be good for some boxers to have another source of income from another network. But more than likely is if there's any real fights that take place on DAZN, that it could, I mean, how does that, it'll be even harder. It could be. I don't know. We have to see the deal, see how it works out. But that means it could be harder to unify championships. Because what if somebody fights on DAZN, somebody else fights on ESPN, somebody else fights on HBO, right? It's just, you're more than likely just going to see more mismatches. Because you'll have every fighter, because there's only a finite number of very good boxers, top level world-class fighters in any weight division. I mean, the welterweight division is probably the deepest division in boxing, at least that I can think of. I'm sure that there's be somebody that could tell me the one that might be deeper. I know 154 is good. 160 is good now. It's getting better. But what are you going to have? 4 or 5 fighters, 6 fighters at the top of a division, right? And then after that, it bottoms out. So you have guys that could be, you have a champion like Errol Spence Jr., the IBF champion. There's only a few welterweights that are going to go the distance with them. Only a few of them. And only half of those that you think might go the distance have a chance of winning. If they're fighting, if Keith Thurman goes to DAZN, now he's fighting on DAZN, and you have Sean Porter go to DAZN, but you have Terrence Crawford on ESPN, and you've got Errol Spence Jr. fighting on Showtime. And then you get, who's a welterweight that could fight Lucas Matisse with Golden Boy fighting on HBO. How are those fights supposed to happen, man? It's not good for boxing fans. This is bad news for boxing fans. Now, will it strengthen Eddie Hearn's ability to sign American fighters? It very well could. I would bet that it does increase his ability to do so because he's got more money to offer. But that doesn't mean that it's a good thing for boxing. HBO, Showtime, ESPN, fight fans do not need it in America. Do not need any more options. We need more fights. We don't need more networks. We need more good fights. We don't need more new networks. We don't need more bills to pay to see. That's not what American boxing needs. That makes it worse. ESPN, when Top Rank went to ESPN, that's what we thought it was gonna do. It was a good thing. But then boom, here comes the app. Here comes the charges. Anyway, so it is what it is, and with that, I'm out.